Today is MLK Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. This is the day for which we designate as a holiday for his birthday and for his existence. And today I thought it would be good to come on and do a live and sharing around this topic of how to build a personal brand that impacts and resonates like Dr. King. How to build a personal brand that impacts and resonates like Dr. King. So as you come into the space, type your name in the comments and let me know where you are tuning in from this evening. But thank you for joining me for tonight. For those who are joining for the very first time, I am Markeith Brayton, speaker, personal brand strategist, and podcast host of the Maximize Your Brand podcast, as well as the Empower Show. You can find both of those via on your favorite podcast app, whether that be iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or Google Play Music. Each and every week, we have this episode or this show or this live stream called Maximize Your Brand Monday, where I just come in and share tips around how to leverage your personal brand, your expertise, and learn how to package your knowledge to create a business that allows you to have time freedom, a business that allows you to have location freedom, and a business that brings in the income that you deserve, desire, and crave. And this week, once again, we are going to be talking about Dr. King, his brand, and how it was a brand of impact, a brand that resonated with the people. And when I thought about it, I was like, that's what we all want when it comes to building a personal brand, not just for business, but just for community, for your career, for impact, as I shared in the title. And I thought that there were about 5 things that I would pull from his life, his brand, his movement to share with you how you can leverage these qualities and how you should be working on these qualities in order to have a more impactful personal brand that resonates with your particular customer avatar, if you're an entrepreneur, or that resonates with the people that you need to support your movement, if you're running a nonprofit, or as you are climbing the corporate ladder in your career. These qualities are important if you're going to have an impactful, significant personal brand that resonates with the people. And so I'm not going to be before you long today. I just wanted to make sure that I kept my word and stayed consistent with my every Monday live and opportunity to share with you each and every week. And once again, as you come into the space, please let me know your name and where you're tuning in from. And those who will be listening via the podcast, hey, share your thoughts with us as well, even though you're not listening to the live stream, but you are listening to the audio. Share your thoughts by emailing me at markeith@markeithbrayton.com. All right, let's hop into our topic: how to build a personal brand that impacts and resonates like Dr. King. How to build a personal brand that impacts and resonates like Dr. King. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., civil rights leader, pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church there in Atlanta, Georgia, was and is a man who we still talk about today, some 55 years after his death. A designated holiday for his name and for the contributions that he has made to the world as well as to this country called the United States of America. Dr. Martin Luther King, a great orator, a great leader, a great individual who made an indelible mark in the world that we still speak of him today and will continue to speak of him in the history books as well as in our culture. But what was it about Dr. King that allowed him to be able to resonate with individuals, allowed him to be able to make great impact in the world, as it pertains to his person. And as I, was thinking about what I wanted to share today, and as I was thinking about Dr. King, there were five things that I feel like are important qualities if you are going to build a personal brand of impact and significance, and leverage that in the marketplace or in your career or in a movement for which you are wanting to start and to have people to follow or patronize your business. And these five qualities I pulled just from, studying Dr. King over the years and listening to Dr. King's speeches via YouTube. And there are some things that I think that we all could utilize and leverage for ourselves, for our own personal opportunity and for our own personal opportunity in order to impact the lives of others. And so the first quality that I would share with you today is that you've got to be consistent like Dr. King was. You got to be consistent like Dr. King was. Dr. King was consistent in his message and in his actions. And when you're consistent with your message and with your actions, it helps to build trust with people. It helps you to build credibility with your particular audience. The more consistent you are and the more aligned your messaging is, then people have an opportunity to buy into the message. They have an opportunity to buy in to you. Nobody wants to follow anyone who's inconsistent. Nobody wants to uh, be led by someone who is shaky jakey. Nobody wants to be led by someone who says one thing and does another. And so you want to be consistent in your messaging and in what it is that you are wanting to show up as. Dr. King was consistent. When your messaging and your actions are aligned, it helps to create a sense of reliability and it helps to create a sense of dependability. You want to be someone who is dependable, that people can depend on. And so consistency is so key as it pertains to really building your personal brand, which is why I show up and committed to show up, committed to following through each and every week on Mondays to share this valuable content, to share this live stream, to share this podcast that you're listening to today. So, quality number one is consistency. In order to have a personal brand that impacts and resonates, you have to have consistency. Number two, and these are in no particular order, but quality number two is you have to be authentic. Don't be a cheap copy. You have to be authentic. Dr. King was genuine and he was authentic to his messaging, to his values, to his call. He was authentic. He was speaking from the heart and always staying true to his beliefs. What Dr. King believed was what he stood on. What Dr. King believed is what he put his life on. What Dr. King believed was what he was willing to make sacrifices for. When you think about your brand, when you think about who you are and what you stand for, are you willing to make sacrifices in order to achieve the ultimate goal of what you believe? You got to be authentic to yourself, not trying to be like somebody else, but being you and maybe gleaning certain qualities, gleaning certain things from others that will help to enhance who you are. But you always want to show up as you. You always want to show up authentically as yourself. That Markeith can only be Markeith. You can only be you. How I sound, my own personal story, my own personal beliefs, which means that when you really are working on your personal brand, you really have to understand and know what your values are. You have to understand and know what are the things that are most important to you. I'll never forget this story that Bishop Jakes was sharing when he first met Colin Powell. Bishop Jakes at the time had a message of recidivism for prisoners, wanting to do counseling and help with the recidivism rate so that those who were getting out of jail would not go back into jail. Colin Powell at the time, he had written a book, I think it was called Fathers to Their Daughters. And he had a great movement around wanting to educate and build up fathers, to be better fathers, to be better men within society. And when Bishop Jakes had met Colin Powell, he shared his value, his mission around wanting to do counseling and provide services to men who were coming out of prison to keep them from going in. And Bishop Jakes had shared that it didn't seem as though Colin Powell was as interested in what Bishop Jakes' value was at the time. And Bishop Jakes said he kind of got a little offended by Colin Powell not necessarily having the same passion that he had for men who were coming out of prison. And after Bishop Jakes spent some time with himself and wanting to understand why that was, he realized that in communicating with Colin Powell, that Colin Powell's value was to educate and to help men to keep them from going into prison. Whereas Bishop Jakes' passion and value was in helping men who was coming out of prison to keep them from going back into prison. And what he did understand at that moment was that Colin Powell had a vision, a mission, and a value for men to keep them from going into prison, to keep them from having to even be impacted by the prison system. Whereas Bishop Jakes' mission, understanding, and value at the time was to work with those men who were in prison coming out. And so it wasn't that Colin Powell wasn't interested in what Bishop Jakes was doing. It was just that his value system and what he believed his mission was not necessarily aligned with that with Bishop Jakes. Both were great visions, both were great missions, but both had totally different foundations for which they were moving toward. And so you've got to be authentic to yourself. That my passion, my mission may not be your passion and your mission. However, we both have the opportunity to make an impact and to resonate with the people who we're called to serve. And so you want to be authentic to your lane, be authentic to your purpose, be authentic to that in which you are called to do. When people sense that you are genuine and authentic, they are more likely to believe in your message and trust your expertise. So you want your personal brand, if you want it to be resonating and you want to make an impact, you have to be authentic to who you are. So quality number one was you have to be consistent. Quality number two is that you have to be authentic. Quality number three, you have to have passion. You have to have passion. Have you ever met somebody who was sharing something that they were truly passionate about? You could hear it in their voice. You could see it in their face. You could see it in their eyes. They light up when they're talking about that thing that they're passionate about. Dr. King was deeply passionate about his calling, deeply passionate about what it was that he believed God had placed him on the earth to do. And he was able to infuse that passion into others. He was able to share that passion with others. And when you have the opportunity to share your passion, it can be contagious. And you can hear his passion in his speeches. You can hear his passion in his sermons. And when you're really passionate about something, as I was stating, it kind of shows up in your face. It shows up on your lips. It shows up in your eyes because it is your thing that you're passionate about. To build a personal brand that impacts and resonates, be passionate about what you do and let that passion shine through your work. That your work should exude what you're passionate about. When you are passionate about your work and interactions with others, it shows in your work. Passionate people tend to be more productive and tend to be more engaged. And that's so true because I can recall even in my own life when I was doing work that I wasn't passionate about, I wasn't engaged, I wasn't as excited, I wasn't as energized. I was actually lethargic. It was actually a drudgery to go do. But when you're passionate, seems like you get a boost of energy. Seems like you get this new revival within you because it's an opportunity to go do the thing that you truly have a passion and a love for. I'll never forget hearing a quote one time that if every morning it's a druther to get up to go to the job that you're going to, maybe you need to find something new to do. That you should wake up every morning excited to go do the work that you have an opportunity to do. And if you're not excited about that work, make a change, make a new decision, make a shift. But you got to have passion. When your passion shines through your work, you create a sense of excitement and enthusiasm around your brand, making it more attractive for others. Are you passionate about the work that you're doing? Do you know what your passionate areas are? I always share these 3 questions to help people really identify their passion and help them align their purpose. Number 1 is, what would you do right now if you knew you could not fail? Number 2, what would you do right now if money was no object? Number 3, what would you do right now? What is it that you do or you find yourself doing at times when you're doing it, you lose track of time while you are doing it? And then the bonus question always is, why aren't you doing that thing? What is it that you're passionate about? Dr. King had great passion for people, great passion to see his people experience freedom like they never have experienced freedom. Had a great passion to fight the fight of faith of civil rights and helping his people get voting rights, helping his people get equal pay, helping his people to have an opportunity to be completely free and to be seen as a human being in this country we call United States of America. What is it that you are passionate about? Quality number 4. I love this one. I love this one right here. You have to be a good storyteller. Learn how to tell good stories. Dr. King knew the power of storytelling. Dr. King knew the power of the Bible and telling the stories of the Bible. Dr. King was a masterful storyteller using personal stories and imagery to connect with his audience. Nothing like a good story. There is nothing like a good story that can connect with people. And those stories can be your own personal stories that you're willing to share, or those stories could be stories that were told to you, like the story I shared between Bishop Jakes and Colin Powell. What are those stories that you have within you that you could share that align with the passion, that align with the movement, that align with the thing that you are wanting to do and how you are wanting to show up in the world? part of my story on how I got on this whole topic and movement and opportunity of wanting to talk about personal branding has to do with my layoff story. In 2014, April the 4th, to be a matter of fact, on 2014, I got a knock at the door of my office saying, "We want to meet with you in the conference room." And having had some challenging moments in that job, I practically already knew what they potentially wanted to talk to me about. But of course, I had to go to the meeting. I walk into the conference room, and my immediate supervisor was sitting on the right side, the HR director sitting on the left, and they proceeded to share with me that that day was going to be my last day, that I was being laid off my job of 4 years as being the corporate compliance officer for the organization. And they asked me that day, they said, if you could, come back and get your stuff later so that we don't cause any confusion or anything, if you don't mind. And we could talk and discuss your severance package later as well. So I went in, got my coat, and took myself to lunch because I was excited for the new opportunity. I have been wanting to transition from the job, but fear kept me there. But God gave me an opportunity to be released from the job, and I had no other choice. Well, I did have a choice. I had a choice to bet on myself and move in the direction that I want to move in building a speaking and coaching business. Or I could have dusted off my resume and gotten a new job in 2014. But I decided to bet on myself and pursue the things that I had always wanted to do. One being, having an opportunity to work in full-time ministry. Two, building my speaking business. Three, building a coaching business. Because what I was after was more freedom of life to do the things that I love to do. And Dr. King, being a good storyteller, had an opportunity to impact people in that way as well. So having the ability to tell good stories is important to building your brand. Being able to tell your own story in a way that resonates with others is important to building your brand. When people can relate to your story, maybe they relate to my job layoff story, maybe they relate to wanting to be a speaker and learning how to build a business, maybe they relate to whatever it is that's a part of your story. It doesn't matter what it is, but as long as you have the ability to tell that story, you have the opportunity to be able to connect with individuals. A well-told story can create a sense of emotional connection with your audience. It can be used to educate, inspire, and to entertain. A well-kept, a well-told story is great for building a personal brand that impacts and that resonates. And quality number five. I said I wasn't going to be with you long. And we are running right around about 25 minutes here. Quality number five is be a leader of example. To have a personal brand or a brand that resonates and that makes impact, you have to be a leader of example. Dr. King was a leader of example. Dr. King was a leader who inspired people to action. Dr. King was a leader who had the ability to impact people to boycott the buses in Birmingham, Alabama, to bring the bus companies, industry to its knees because it was losing money by making African Americans sit in the back of the bus. You want to be a leader of example. Dr. King, being a leader of example, stood on the front lines, went to jail. There's that word again, making sacrifices for his cause. To build a personal brand that impacts and resonates, you need to be able to lead by example. So I knew for myself, I couldn't teach other people how to build a coaching business, a location-free business. I couldn't teach other people how to land paid speaking engagements if I wasn't willing first to go on the journey for myself. And now that I've had many paid speaking engagements, now that I've had many coaching and consulting clients, I have an opportunity to be able to share my systems and the way that I was able to do it. When people see you as a leader, they are more likely to trust your expertise and to look to you for guidance and inspiration. When people start calling you and asking you for advice around certain things or the things that you do, that's when you know that you are being seen as a leader in a particular niche or a particular area. Inspiring others to follow your lead is an effective way to build a following and establish your brand as a movement or a cause. So just lead by example. The more you show up for yourself, the better. Let me say that again. The more you show up for yourself, the better. The more people will buy into what it is that you have to offer because they continue to see you show up. I got a message the other day via my Facebook Messenger, somebody asking me, hey, what are your consulting fees so that my group would like to learn more about how to show up more in social media. Why? Because I continuously show up. I continuously share valuable content that will help people move forward in their dreams and in their vision. 5 qualities from Dr. King's life and brand. 5 qualities. Let's go over those 5 qualities again. You have to be authentic so that people will resonate with who you are and not necessarily who you're trying to be. You have to have passion. What is it that you're truly passionate about? That's where your impact, that's where people will resonate with you based on your passion, what your calling is, what excites you. Number 3, be a good storyteller. So learn how to tell stories, learn how to speak in public, learn how to be able to convey a message that connects with people's heart and their minds. Be consistent. The more consistent you are, the more people will connect with you, the more they'll trust you. The know, like, and trust is a real thing. But consistency of showing up each and every opportunity that you get, and be a leader of example. You have to be the first partaker of whatever it is that you're wanting to impact people's lives on. You have to be the one who goes first or who puts yourself out there so that people can see that you're an expert in a particular area. 5 qualities. How to build a personal brand that impacts and resonates like Dr. King. Hopefully you were able to glean some things from this message today. I hope that you know that I'm here each and every week sharing things that I believe will be helpful for you in building a brand for yourself that allows you and affords you the opportunity to be time free, location free, and that brings forth the income that you desire and deserve. Once again, if you are not subscribed to my podcast, I invite you to subscribe to the Maximize Your Brand podcast on any of the major platforms that you listen to, whether that be iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Also, you can subscribe to the Empower Show podcast by going to YouTube and searching for the Empower Show. That's M, the letter M, Power, Power show. And you can listen to some of the episodes with me and Donzale as we share each and every week as well. Also, I want to invite you to learn more about a program that I'm starting called Unlimited Laser Coaching with Markeith Brayton. This is an opportunity for you to get coaching from me. And all you have to do is click the link in the post or in the show notes of the podcast and learn more about laser coaching. There are some criteria for this, but I want to invite you to check it out. Let me know if you are interested in laser coaching. Always enjoy joining you each and every week. And if you're interested in staying connected with us, text us. Text Maximize to 1-877-640-5632. Text Maximize to 1-877-640-5632 and join our text community so you can get notifications when things are going on and when we are going live and when we have events that you can participate in, whether they be webinars, or virtual events, or physical events. But once again, I am Markeith Brayton, the host of the Maximize Your Brand podcast and the Empower Show, speaker, personal brand strategist, and podcast host. Always enjoy being with you each and every week. Until next time, just remember this: always shoot for the top because it's the bottom that's overcrowded. Take care.